Hello everyone and welcome to our channel. And today I'll be reading Scaramouche Listener by me. So let's get into it. Scaramouche actually hated cuddles when they first started dating. It sounded absurd to him to want to cuddle so much, to want to be in someone's proximity to such a very annoying degree, or an intimate one. He couldn't really put a name to it. But it was annoying. At least this is how it sounded like. That's not how he felt. Certainly not. But he still does not understand the idea of cuddling and what could be so fascinating about it. And the first time I try cuddling, it's when he's reading a book and you're being extra clingy. And since he won't pay you any attention, you wrap your arms around him and stay right there, holding him with your face neatly tucked into his shoulder. And there was a wide smile on your face. Aside from everything, the white smile that you had made everything all the more worth it, and it made the scene so beautiful to him. Perhaps otherwise, he would have already started complaining and ranting about how it was so annoying, so unseemly, and so illogical that a silly act like this could bring you comfort. But in reality, somewhere deep within him, he too was finding out what exactly made cuddling so fascinating and so good. Because then, and only a few days later, he finds himself aching for it. And that's exactly where the problem lied. He didn't want to admit it, and he didn't know exactly how he would be able to anyway. What? Is he just supposed to go up to you until he wants to cuddle? That's that's too strange and too weak for his taste. He was not just some scrawny boy who wants cuddles. And most of all, they weren't that good anyway. But lately, he's been feeling more and more like he wants nothing more than your touch, than the feeling of being by your side and within your arms. It was so strange, and that's primarily why he couldn't accept it. His life wasn't like this. He wasn't made to be like this. And yet, somehow, they were always able to find a way to change him and to make him want to accept that change. So that's why, as anxious as he was, Scaramouche planned to get his comfort, to cuddle you, no matter how embarrassing it may be. And that's why when they sat next to each other this day, he held your hand in his, just like how he always told him to, when he was feeling like he wanted to touch you, or like he missed you. And, squeezing it a little bit, he did an inch closer and closer till the both of your bodies were touching. And that's when he began to wrap his arms around you, looking at you in a way that dared you to even comment on it. As he leaned down to bury his face into your chest, there was no way in hell that you were going to comment on this. As adorable as he may be, and as hesitant and cute, the entire act may be as well, because he knew the moment you said something, he would end up being too embarrassed, and he would want to leave. And far be it from you to cut this off from him. The fact that he needed this, and came to you, it was something else in its entirety. It was so precious that it made your heart melt. And that's why you stayed quiet, cherishing this moment between the two of you, because you didn't know what would happen again. But you appreciate every move you made to be able to get to this point. And later on, you speak nothing of it. And even though he still blushes and still looks nervous, you totally ignore it, trying to save him some face, because he's still very weird about this whole affection thing, especially when he is the one to seek it out. But never would you have thought that Scaramouche, and only a week later, would come to your room in the middle of the night, with only one word coming out of his lips: cuddle. Oh, that's what you came here for? You asked, as you looked at him. He looked disheveled, his eyes red from the lack of sleep, and he looked to be a little bit anxious, his hair a mess as well. At least as messy as it could be. It was hard to look messy when you were Scaramouche, really. Regardless of that, you took his hand in yours, nodding, and getting him into bed right next to you. Then you proceeded to warm your arms, the arms that kept him safe, the arms that made him so happy, and the arms that he trusted to lay in, to always feel like a safe haven, like a home to his heart. And that's why he immediately wrapped his arms around you, getting in your arms snugly and closing his eyes. His breathing got softer, quieter as time went by, and you stroked his hair gently, watching over him like a guardian angel, because after all, it was your turn to protect him this time. He wouldn't tell you what happened, no matter how much you asked, but you could pretty much guess. It was probably a nightmare, probably something that you were not really able to do anything about. Either way, though, you are going to help in any way you can. And as time passed by, and Scaramouche began to drift off to sleep in your arms, you could only look at him, the way he looked so peaceful, after he'd finally succumbed to sleep. This time, his dreams were full of nothing but wishes and happiness. Things he'd always wanted to see, things he'd wanted to try, instead of the nightmares and the countless horrors that he's truly witnessed and gone through throughout his life. If you could protect a smile for even a day, or his peace of mind, for 1 second, you would do it, no matter what it would take. Because seeing him in your arms like this, with that sleepy smile on his face, you knew that your love was someone worth protecting. And that's why, when Scaramouche wakes up, he's still being cuddled by you even in your sleep, tightly held against you, and pressed softly onto your chest, with one hand on his back, and the other on the back of his head and in his hair. You are going to keep him safe, if not from the world, and if not from his enemies. Then, you could at least try and be strong enough to keep him safe from those nightmares and shoo those bad thoughts away. And the Scaramouche opened his eyes to see your face in front of him. He could only smile at the peaceful feeling that welled up in his chest as he closed his eyes once more, deciding that, drifting off once again into your arms that held him so securely and that filled him with warmth and love, it wouldn't be the worst idea. He could have more of this, and he really wanted to.